And 3, 2, 1, and action, Flav.
It's One for the Weekend podcast. Lawrence
Brilliant.
McKenna, joined by you.
Why do we shake hands?
Good to
We've
see
seen
you.
each other for ages
Good to see
before.
you.
What's that?
It's a burn.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
Sorry, I caught that.
Oh, it's fine. It's fine. That's a lovely way to start a podcast. One for the Weekend returned once again. James isn't
Was that
here.
the Arsenal loss?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't go into what happened.
James is still in Africa.
Yes, he's in Kenya. The last few days of his honeymoon, I think he's very excited to go back to work because he keeps WhatsApping us.
Does he really?
Literally, he's like, what are we doing with this? He's itching to get back.
His wife watches.
His wife knows how much he loves work and his job, and and that's a good thing for everybody. But
that'll change in time.
But we look at it and think, surely there's elephants to be looking at.
Yeah.
Or something better.
Surely there's some sort of football metaphor he can be enacting over there. Do you know what I mean? He posted a picture online with a giraffe.
Yeah.
And didn't post it saying just with Peter Crouch. I was a bit disappointed in it. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, that's solid gold there.
Yeah, that is. Yeah. Do you remember when Peter Crouch posted with my family? And I thought it was brilliant.
It was brilliant.
Yeah.
He comes across as a lovely, lovely man.
Yeah.
You should get him on the True Geordie podcast.
I'm sure there'll be some stories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You see,
with Robbie Clancy.
I mean, it's big. What's it like being on a podcast where you've
been on such a motoring success?
That. But what I actually have a question. It is where you can pretty much attract anybody you want now because the audience is that big.
Yeah.
So how then do you choose who you want?
That's a really good question. Between the two of us, we discuss a lot who we want as guests.
Yeah. And are people largely receptive? Or do they have to be explained what it is? And
no. Oh, do you mean as in the people who we approach?
Yeah, the guests.
Were you worried that was in between me and the microphone?
Yeah, it does impact slightly.
You know what? Mostly they're receptive because they get the idea.
Yeah.
They understand what a podcast is now.
Yeah.
And so for instance, we had an initial guest on, Sean Atwood, who was speaking about drugs and his time in jail. And then he came on the second time and he came back so well prepared. It was amazing.
Right.
He came back with papers and he'd come with a load of suggestions. And it was probably one of my favourite guests in terms of just pure effort that he put in.
Yeah.
He just put in time and effort into looking through the tweets beforehand and sort of bringing everything together. It was like a 5 Live show rather than a podcast.
If somehow you do not know what the True Geordie podcast is,
where have you been?
Then where have you been?
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say why are you watching or listening to this because FanLeague wouldn't be happy with that.
But we'll put a link in the description and you can go click that. And
it's an incredible podcast, and they talk a lot about football as well. They had Alan Shearer on there, no less. How did the True Geordie? How did he deal with meeting his idol Alan Shearer?
It was really unusual, actually. I think he was very bemused that he had him on.
Right, that had managed to happen.
Yeah, and very grateful that Alan would even sort of consider coming on in the first place. I think because when you meet your hero, that can sometimes be a real problem.
Yeah,
but he was actually such a receptive guy to questions. Yeah,
you're
this is a big problem.
Yeah.
I've gotten over it in time. I love Ruda Ballon, and then
that's a niche. People,
especially after we delete him off the channel. And so it was. I think for me as well, it was watching Alan Shearer be interviewed that was quite interesting.
Yeah,
he's actually much nicer in real life, I think, than I thought he would be.
Yeah,
and I've at times made fun of Alan because I didn't rate his punditry at one point.
Do you ever wonder because you're meeting lots of famous people now,
all of them
in the game,
met them all,
and out.
Yeah, but I really want to meet Eric.
But anyone who's been on the internet has said things probably about the people they end up meeting. Do you ever have any kind of fears that someone might?
No, because I think I can justify everything I've said. I mean, Robbie Savage is a twat. Sorry. Can I say that on the podcast?
Yeah, I think that's fine.
Robbie Savage is not a great pundit. I don't rate him at all. Right. I had to interview him once, and he was a fine interview, but he's not a good pundit.
All right.
Yeah.
But sometimes in football, you don't need to be a great pundit in order to get the job.
Sometimes.
Often.
Flav, yes. Sometimes. Yeah.
Any footballers that you do like listening to? Ex-pro footballers?
Yeah, loads. Yeah. Loads. None that I want to list now. I quite enjoyed that England discussion the other day on BT. Did you see that England discussion? No. So it was Steven Gerrard, Frank Lampard and Rio Ferdinand talking about how they were so competitive in their club sides that they didn't really talk to each other in the national team, and it was quite a cliquey national team. And it made me realise a lot about why there's a problem in English football and how the culture in England does actually affect the national team, especially in terms of almost like the Marxist ideas that England has, or they're not actually Marxist ideas, but sort of what people believe to be these kind of people join a union and we're all supposed to get together, and people see it depends on which way around you see it. So is your football club the union that you're loyal to, or is your national team the union that you're loyal to?
Wow.
And because Gerrard made a really interesting comment, which was the thing that set this thought process off, which was Coutinho couldn't wait for those 11 days when he'd go away with the Brazil national team. It was like the best 11 days of his year.
Yeah.
And it was like going away and having a great time with all these guys. And he said maybe that's because he's not directly in competition with all of them, because he plays for Liverpool, not particularly big side. And whereas with Gerrard, he felt like he was directly in competition with those guys, and they wouldn't speak about tactics, they wouldn't speak about their managers, they wouldn't speak about the club culture, they'd sit on their own tables. Whereas Coutinho goes, he mixes with Neymar, Dani Alves, all those guys are together. And it's very much sort of, and that's what's unusual, is all those managers who set that culture up, the Shankleys, then the Fergusons and the older guys, the Cloughs even, were very much working class guys who came from those areas where the background was that there would be a union that would keep everyone together, and we stay together, not necessarily in spite of the nation, but sort of, as part of it, but we don't necessarily feel part of everything that's wider, because maybe the people in the south had screwed us up a bit.
Do you think? I understand what you're saying.
I know that's not very. Jonathan Wilson could do that much more.
No, I get it. I get it completely. And it goes back to these kind of players being pulled out and feigning injury during international breaks.
I don't have a problem with that. If you want to do that, they know behind the scenes what's going on. Sure, that's fine. Gareth Southgate's going to know whether you actually have an injury or not. Do you know what I mean? Who cares whether I know?
Yeah, I mean,
give a shit.
I think it's there's some people out there who believe that representing your country, and it's generally fans of other clubs other than the player that's choosing not to.
Yeah,
represent
until it's
England.
one of your own club.
Yeah. Like, so I'm not a massive fan. I struggle with the whole concept of international football and England these days, because I'm not really up for cheering on Jack Wilshere in the middle of the midfield. I don't like him as a footballer.
Yeah.
So why would I want him? It's hard for me to remove myself from my allegiances to my football club, and completely for an international football match.
My problem is I don't have anyone that I really dislike.
No players.
Not really.
No.
Probably Savage. I see what you're saying. I also think. I think you need to put that aside for a little while. I mean, I see the difference though with Arsenal and Spurs. I think Arsenal and Spurs are a very unique example, because there's real hatred there. Whereas Liverpool, Everton, there's not that same hatred, especially not now. Everton are rubbish.
They are terrible, aren't they? One for the weekend usually starts off with this. I don't like this, James. Got to be honest. I made that clear a couple of times, but James likes it, and people out there seem to like it. So, in the unlikely event where Klopp decides to leave Liverpool, and you are given the opportunity to appoint either Arsene Wenger or Jose Mourinho, or you die, that being the hook to a normal question, who would you take and why? Jose Mourinho or Arsene Wenger to take over at Liverpool?
It's a tricky one. Mourinho.
Really?
Yeah.
So you don't, as a Liverpool fan, you don't have a burning hatred for him, or all about what he can do with the players?
You know what? I think there's almost a sort of like Sith Lords. That's a really rubbish reference. A sort of like a guy. Mourinho knows how to play the roles in football, and I think he played that role for years for Chelsea against Manchester United, and now he's playing the role for Manchester United against the rest. And I think he'd do the same for Liverpool. There's something that went on between Liverpool and Mourinho where he could have gone, and he ended up not going. And I'm always sort of intrigued by why he didn't go. Yeah. And it makes me think, what could have been? But I'm so happy they got Rafa Benitez instead, because he's such a tender sort of real human. Yeah. And I think every club likes the idea that they would get Mourinho and they change him in a way. I don't know if Liverpool will be able to do that and make him maybe happy again.
I spoke to someone yesterday about whether or not they'd want, a Leicester City fan, whether or not they'd want Jose Mourinho or Pep Guardiola at the team.
Yeah. And
he said that he would probably choose Jose Mourinho because he feels that he could do more with lesser players than Pep Guardiola could.
Yeah.
I think it's a fair comment.
No, I don't know.
I mean, you've never seen... Guardiola's never had the opportunity, really, has he?
Guardiola's never been... I don't think either manager's ever been charged with, this is your budget, go and do this with it. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Well, obviously a big budget, but an almost unlimited budget. Yeah. Whereas I still think Pep showed he can coach certain players. You know, he showed he can coach Sterling, who, you know, a lot of fans were, he's rubbish, put him away, you don't need him anymore. now that bit of footage has come out where he's going, turn your body. Everyone's like, oh,
yeah,
all his goals must be down to Pep Guardiola.
Like,
now he turns. Before he just ran at the goal, nothing else.
Honestly, if you were doing give and go football since I've been a kid, and that's all that was. And don't get me wrong, you offered him an opportunity to understand a scenario better than perhaps he would have done previously.
Yeah.
But if all top level managers can't do what Guardiola did in that, and then there just happened to be a circumstance in the game where Sterling was be able to demonstrate exactly what he was told to do. But that's common. Surely that's common advice given to
what? Look around,
give the ball and go. Use your pace. And
Have I told you that story about David Ginola when I once did a training session with him? I filmed a training session, and my job was to just follow him with the camera. And I learned so much in that time.
Really?
Not that I've put any of it into my game. You see him Next Level, I'm rubbish. But the side of it where he's French, he's like, in France, we just do this all the time. We always run like this.
Head up.
Yeah, and he's like, with our heads up. The ball, if you can't do anything with the ball, then that's your own fault. But always looking around. So to all these English young guys, he was going, chin up all the time. He was like, don't look down, always looking around. And I thought that's really interesting.
Yeah. The first thing you do when you're learning football, not that I ever got to any great level, absolutely didn't.
No, not at this level.
You put your head down to look at where the ball is in order to get your feet to work in the way they wanted to.
But it's incredible how even just being conscious of that changes the way you stand, the way you look around, even just being conscious of the fact you're taking a look over your shoulder before you get the ball, and it's possible to do that.
To read the situation.
Yeah.
A lot of plaudits for Harry Winks' rise at the moment is about that, about him able to look around and turn his head. I think there was Craig. Was it something about Lampard learning about him turning his head? It was from late in his career.
He's had his head turned a few times.
Yeah, but Brendan Rodgers said one of the reasons why he knew that Gerrard was pretty much done is that that late into his career he couldn't teach him to scan before receiving the ball in the way that he would have done if he got Gerrard much earlier. I don't know if that's a fair comment.
I feel like Brendan Rodgers is a weird one because sometimes he says incredible things and you think, yeah, nailed it there, Brendan. But other times you think, you're trying to teach Gerrard to suck eggs. Like, this man's clearly got vision.
Yeah.
Why are you blaming? I think
it
he's played in an amazing side.
Yeah. It's hard to criticise Gerrard. I think it was about where his understanding of what was around him before he received the ball is what he was getting at.
But that's such a weird thing because actually I've seen you watch clips back of Gerrard and Gerrard's very good at his first touch was always excellent, getting the ball out from under his feet, going around a player. It was actually very rare that he'd get caught on the ball. In the way that Brendan Rodgers is talking about there. I know Gerrard's been caught before, but he'd always battle back to get it back because he's Captain America.
One time he didn't quite manage it.
Yeah.
You remember?
When?
Oh, when he slipped.
Oh, prick.
Arsenal take on Manchester United this weekend. Arsenal
Battle of the old guys.
Yeah, Arsenal, a great result a couple of weeks ago against Spurs. Clearly the better team at a time where everyone was making Spurs favourites in that game. And Wenger showed once again what a great manager he is. He's doing all right. They're in and amongst that top four. They will be all season. Is there any world where you can see where he extends this current contract?
No.
No?
I've heard that there's things going on. So, for instance, getting this new football, the new scout they've got in. They don't have director of football yet.
From former
Dortmund,
yeah.
It's laying the groundwork in for him to move away, or to move away from that level anyway. Maybe he'll move up in the club. Maybe that's why the director of football is open, is because it's where Wenger's next.
And of all the top 6 clubs that he's got left to play at, Arsenal, Manchester United probably are a good one to face because Jose Mourinho has a horrendous record against the top sides away from home.
He does, yeah.
In recent times.
But then you've got to say, the reason that Arsenal dismantled Spurs in such a way was because Spurs had a particularly bad day. I don't think they played the correct tactics against Arsenal. You say Mourinho is much better at reading that and setting up. And if you can negate this Arsenal team and show them, look, you can't just run through us, then I think you've probably got a much better chance. And I also think that the midfield of Manchester United, and if Paul Pogba plays to the level that he can play, I think Manchester United will again nick a 0-0 draw.
There's an amazing an example of Mourinho's ability to learn from his wrongs. When Spurs beat Chelsea 5-3 on New Year's Day a couple of seasons back, we played them in the semi-final of the League Cup. a couple of months later, and he just changed this triangle of defenders where he had, I think, Cahill, Kurt Zuma as a defensive midfielder. Forgive me, I can't remember the others. It probably was Terry. And all of the successes we had in that, I think it's called Sector 14, just outside the box.
Right, yeah, good.
He just closed shop on us, and we didn't know how to get around it. You know, and he is incredible. I've got a lot of time for Mourinho. I know he winds a lot of people up. He's a divisive character, but I love the fact that he doesn't give a fuck. And
I have this theory that in years to come we'll look back.
He's a brilliant tactician.
Yeah, and we'll go, A, he was a brilliant tactician. B, we'll realise where he got angry with certain people. But I don't think we can talk about that now in football. Yeah. Sinister.
Arsene Wenger. If he is to go, and it seems like he probably will do.
Yeah.
Who do you think out there in world football at the moment would be good for him, for Arsenal to take on? It's a massive job, a huge transitional process. That club is Arsene Wenger. It's institutionalised in his ideals. It has been for many years.
Yeah.
And it's part of the reason why they've been so successful.
Yeah.
It's a hard question
to say.
Yeah.
They're talking about Patrick Vieira and Thierry Henry, Dennis Bergkamp.
No.
None of those guys are guys that I particularly say, well, you should take over. Unless, of course, they're happy to work under Wenger.
In which case, what changes?
Very little, maybe. But then maybe there's an aspect of out with the old, in with the new. So this is the next generation rather than it being sort of it's more of an evolution than a revolution.
Wow,
I sat on the fence there. Huh?
There's names like Tuchel.
He's apparently quite a disruptive manager. I'm not sure he could work. With.
I think he's got to go though, isn't he? He doesn't go upstairs. He's got to go He's got to get out of the football club. Surely.
We'll see about that. Yeah.
You don't think?
Well,
How does he not have an influence? It's almost like Alex Ferguson standing over David Moyes.
Shankly was asked to leave Liverpool when he because everyone was still calling him boss or gaffer or something along those lines.
And as you were saying, he's such a powerful figure and an important figure in the football club. Is detrimental. That you've got to give, and I think there will be massive teething issues at Arsenal, but you've got to give a new manager their own identity. Simeone's not going to come in and go, all right, well, what does Arsene Wenger think? Or Allegri either.
But under that, you'd say, well, Wenger's not going to say, get me Simeone, is it? If that's the idea he wants to carry on.
Could work. Van Bronckhorst.
That would definitely be interesting.
I mean, because he knows Arsenal and works underneath Arsene Wenger. Played underneath him.
For how long?
For 2 or 3 years.
2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was it all that long? Long enough?
Long enough to form some sort of relationship, you'd think.
I suppose you can always form a relationship with someone. It's better than maybe coming into the club cold. Still, maybe you're looking slightly too far ahead there. You've still got a whole season and a bit to go.
I just know that this is on the back of all of Arsenal fans' minds. Is this what they're thinking about constantly?
Yeah, which maybe undermines
any good work that Wenger could do. Sorry to finish the sentence.
No, it's true. Or maybe also undermines when they need a win and they are down. Well, we're still going to change soon.
Yeah.
But then if that's your attempt at interesting as a football player, then you're not interesting, are you?
No. So your FanLeague pick for the week. Sorry, FanLeague pick. In terms of how would you go on this? Would you go away or a home?
I'm going to go Manchester United 1-0. Maybe even 2.
I would say
not happy.
I don't feel. I feel like Arsenal are going to turn up again.
Really?
I really do. Yeah.
Yeah, you're just hoping that, so this doesn't look so bad for Poch.
There's that, I suppose. The One for the Weekend podcast is sponsored by FanLeague. It's the predictor app and building the world's number one football community.
It's actually a really good app.
It is a good app.
Yeah, it's really simple.
Can I just say?
Fine.
I won £74 this week.
Wow.
I got 11 results correct out of the 13.
Really good.
And I would have got 12, which would have been even more money if Spurs had beaten West Brom.
Right, but they didn't.
They did not.
Because your boys took one hell of a draw.
It was one hell of a draw. They deserved it, West Brom. They were very, very, very good in defence. Gary Megson's shown what's a footballing genius that he is.
I love his quotes.
Right.
He has great quotes.
Does he?
Did you see the quote? We said this on our podcast. Did you see the quote where he talks about 2 dead frogs no conquer?
No, that sounds amazing.
He keeps using that
what does it mean?
Replaced for some sort of monetary value. So he's like, I'm not going around the country for 2 dead frogs no conquer. And you're like, Gary, what does that mean? And basically it means nothing. Do you know what I mean? But as a kid, 2 dead frogs no conquer is a great trade.
Yeah.
It's just that when you get to become an adult, you realise how useless two dead frogs and a conker are.
Yeah.
I also was wondering whether he was referencing his own genitalia.
Oh God!
But of course, there's also, he then said it's great to be back around football people.
Yeah.
And whenever someone says football people now, I always think of the guy who was talking about bouncing on falsies. What's his name? The one who is a Wigan manager. Paul Jewell.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said, everyone when he first did that was like, he's a good football man.
He's a good football man.
And I was like, yeah, but that doesn't negate all the other terrible stuff that he's said and done and texts.
But he's a good football man.
He's a good football man.
Ron Atkinson was a great football man. Actually, we're on dodgy territory.
Yeah, terrible territory. But he said it's good to be back around. Good to be back around the locker room. I think they call it banter now. I don't know what that is. It's just such a weird thing to say.
Yeah,
it's such a dad thing to say.
He is a proper dad manager, isn't he?
Yeah, he also looks like an amalgamation of a few different people.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
he looks a bit like Alec McLeish, but then depends how angry he is.
Yeah.
He has like different states, like Gollum and Smeagol.
He's all those things.
Yeah, but he's not pathetic.
No,
you know what I mean?
no,
He's a powerful man.
Part of the reason why I won £74, the actual prize pool was about 60 odd, but I built a tree. So people, when you recruit people on FanLeague,
Right.
if they win,
Yeah.
you draw someone
It's
their
like
money.
Avon.
Get someone their money.
Yeah.
A bit like Avon. But he, it was good.
You're
So
like an
I've got
Avon
all
lady.
of that. I'm an Avon lady, yeah.
The tree idea is a really good idea, by the way. I think it's a really great mechanic.
Yeah, and actually, about it adds to the community aspects. And actually, you can talk to him himself. Thank you for winning.
And it's a reward for your success.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, your own success.
Man City versus West Ham. Is there a worse place for Moyes to go than Man City away, or is a fixture like that good because no one's expecting anything of him, and as long as you don't get absolutely drubbed?
It feels inevitable, doesn't it? Moyes, no matter whether he's had his first win, his first draw, his first set of points, whatever, it's not really a place you're going to go and string a load of good results together.
Yeah.
You get the feeling they're open and there for the taking with Moyes.
Yeah.
And he hasn't really come across a system yet which is going to have much longevity to it. Whereas Pep Guardiola, it feels the opposite way.
Moyes has had 20 wins as a manager since 2014.
Yeah, how many games has he played? I don't know how many games he's played. I mean,
It's not on there. I'm just giving you a...
Yeah.
Doesn't
even say.
Enough.
You really probably shouldn't use that stat because it's a silly one, yeah.
My podcast until James comes back.
Brilliant, yeah.
Yeah, and as I've found on the internet, you can say whatever you want, pretty much, and people believe it if you say it firmly enough.
Yeah. But he's got his first points as a West Ham manager.
Yeah, he has.
And I think it's one of those ones where, because it feels inevitable, I think it's going to happen. It's at home. City will, no matter what's happened before, they had the result against Huddersfield, and that was interesting. And there've been a few times where it looks as if people have found out elements of what they're going to do. I don't think Moyes is going to be able to replicate that.
No,
not at all. Win City 5-1.
Yeah, I think that's an absolute banker.
They'll still get a goal.
You reckon? Somehow, bounces off Andy Carroll's head. What do you think about? There was mooted about Andy Carroll being a dangerous footballer because of the way he jumps in the air, his elbows go out. Some would argue that's his natural way of jumping.
Right.
Others would say that because you're in the air and your elbows out, you can't control.
Yeah.
So I don't know where you stand with that in terms of the,
it's
Martin Samuel
really,
said.
It?
He said.
I think Martin Samuel sometimes grasps at straws, doesn't he?
He's a journalist for the Daily Mail.
Yeah. Well, yeah. How many straws you want, Martin? It's.
Only need one.
I don't know. I've seen him. I mean, it's tricky because it's nature and nurture, isn't it?
Yeah, it's how you're taught.
Yeah.
And you've got these people going, he's an old-fashioned battering ram, strong in the air, so he's gonna, and it's up to the referee.
I don't quite understand that.
Well, I mean, he's like he's like a throwback centre forward in the modern game.
But doesn't mean he is an old-fashioned centre forward. And if that's the case, then he obviously wouldn't be playing in the Premier League.
No, he's definitely got more about him than that. I'm just saying that sometimes footballers, especially you'd imagine, have limited understanding and intelligence.
But didn't we say that about Sterling? I mean, many people said that about Raheem Sterling. Like, they sort of wrote him off as this, unintelligent young man who is quite arrogant. And since he's come under Pep, it does seem like he's expanded his game a little bit. Yeah. Why can't Andy Carroll do the same?
He's got no one to tell.
It's my mistake.
Because David Moyes doesn't understand how to turn, give the ball
right. Yeah,
space.
I can't. Yeah, that's the thing, is I can't see David Moyes in training.
Yeah.
Looking up and going, just turn your shoulders. Do you know what I mean? Or you see, there's just this image of him in training with Andy Carroll just going, keep the arms down, keep the arms down, and he's making him jump up holding the arms. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
and tie his arms up.
Yeah, exactly.
Now head.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I don't understand. I think there's a lot to be learned from American sports when it comes to English training in terms of recovery, and NBA players play a lot every week. Obviously, it's not a full 90, but they really do push their bodies to their very limits to be able to dunk and be able to get down the court. I know it's not as big a court, but you know what I mean. I don't understand why many English teams aren't doing that. They have the money. They can spend 30 million or whatever on a player, 18 million I think on Andre Ayew or something like that.
Yeah.
Why not invest that same amount of money in the sports science side and getting the best out of your players? I don't quite understand that. Certain managers really buy into that side.
Is it that it's old school and it's seen as a new way of thinking, or is that even that period of the division between the two ideals? Is that gone?
Maybe it's an interesting one because
what I'm saying is getting at is that Redknapp used to say, "Oh, it's all about the players. It's all about the players."
Yeah, but then surely with those players, you want to maximise it. That's something that NBA coaches say as well.
They're good.
Yeah, but what do you see? What's good? Like good's subjective. So he's not good at scoring, but he's a good defender.
Yeah.
You don't say, well, you don't go to Jamie Carragher and go, but you're a bad striker. You go, no, you're a good defender. So it's completely subjective.
But if he's good enough, he's old enough.
Right.
It's all that bollocks, essentially.
Yeah, but then to some extent that truism does still mean something. Do you know what I mean? Because now we've got Lonzo Ball in the NBA who is old enough and is good enough, but he's still quite a young player.
Yeah, it's true. It doesn't make it that helpful. I mean, anyone could say top-line truisms.
Do you not think, though, that to some extent that's also a defence for the manager who doesn't want to talk a lot about a young player, doesn't actually have very much to say about him, and wants to keep it fairly private and just go to the golf club?
Yeah, I think that Redknapp would have been stung a lot about how it was when Lampard was coming through and the fans wanted this other youth product that was coming. I can't even remember his name.
Joe Cole?
No.
Oh.
Another one that you wouldn't... I hadn't even heard of them. The players go, don't play Frank Lampard, play this other guy.
Right.
And this... Do you remember his name? What is it, Craig?
Scotty Cannon.
Because play Scotty Cannon.
Cannon.
We need Scotty Cannon in midfield. And I think...
Firing!
Redknapp went...
Cannon.
Cannon can't lace his Frank Lampard's boots. So something along those lines. And as it turns out, he was very...
Of course, back in those days, cannon and ball was huge, wasn't it? Yeah.
I mean...
That's a very niche reference,
A reference that no one in this audience will get. Can anyone stop Man City this season?
Yeah,
will they win
like Pep Guardiola says, someone will, but it won't be for long enough to trip them.
Yeah.
It'll be a little, oops!
Yeah.
And I'm back on my way. Yeah.
That was nice.
Yeah, you see some people fall flat on their face and that goes on Instagram.
Yeah.
No.
Watford versus Tottenham, an interesting matchup.
Marco Silva must really scare you.
He does.
Yeah.
I mean, he reminds me of Pochettino's arrival into football.
Yeah, people didn't really know who he was. Yeah,
and he's done great things very quickly. It changed the ethos of a football club very swiftly.
Has remained true to Watford when other teams have come in for him.
So, what's your feeling on this? Because I felt that if he would have given... it's all hearsay, conjecture, but
wherever you go,
given the opportunity, he might have jumped ship. But what does that say about Silva as a manager if he does that?
I think it says that he's aspiring. I think it depends what level. If he'd have jumped ship of a Tottenham, then you go, well, which club are you going to? But if he's jumping ship at a Watford, who historically haven't been very loyal to their managers, there'd be a real irony there to that.
But aspiration can be quite a damaging thing. I mean,
it can be damaging beyond a certain point. Yeah. I think there's an arrogance to certain kinds of aspiration, whereas it doesn't seem that he operates with that sort of arrogance.
No. He came in and managed Hull in a situation that was impossible, really. And he actually turned it around in so much that he got a very, very bad football team working.
He proved a lot about what you can get out of a squad.
It was incredible. And I thought when Watford made that appointment, it was an incredible one. And as we've seen with Watford, so far this season, they're having a brilliant go
with
at it.
With a little bit of investment. I mean, they're not investmentless.
No.
They're not. They didn't not invest.
No. I mean, he's been supported and you have to. It won't be long before he's gone from Watford. I think everybody understands that. But that could be the same could be said for any Watford manager. I think they've turned over 5 managers in 5 seasons.
Yeah. And but then where would he go? I think there's probably... He's going to have to go up to one of the top 4 clubs or one of the elite clubs in
that would potentially be a good shout for Arsenal.
Not a bad shout for Arsenal, actually. Yeah. Because he does play good football.
Yeah, he does.
And I'd imagine that in time there'll be players who want to play with him.
I think there's for sure. I mean, you look at Richardson, who I'd never even heard. Richardson, I'd never even heard of him. Yeah, Richardson. Never heard of him before, and the same you could have said for Igalo before him. You know, these are players that have great seasons. You've seen it before. Amir Giovanni of Hull. Remember him? He had this kind of amazing season.
Amir Zaki.
Yeah. Do you remember him? Yeah.
Giovanni was good. Struck a ball beautifully.
Yeah. I had a lovely technique.
Thank you.
So we need to see how well this guy does after this season. But this could all be about Silva. I remember talking about Pochettino when we signed him, and we put a tweet out on Love the Shirt and said, imagine if the reason why all these Liverpool are buying all these Southampton players was not because these are great footballers, and some of them are. Lallana is for sure. You know, that it was actually Pochettino's training, and as it turned out, Spurs had a hugely valuable squad at the moment, all down to Pochettino's training. You know, Kane, there has been some people saying Sherwood had a role in that. He did, for sure, giving him an opportunity, but there's some players out there that have done so well. Ben Davies, Trippier, Dyer,
Winks,
Kane. You know, apparently, according to the Daily Mail, not best source, but it has Spurs have the second most valuable squad in Europe. If someone wanted to buy them, what it would cost to buy those players.
Yeah, that's purely down to Daniel Levy.
And
just Daniel Levy going 200 million for everyone. The Daily Mail kept calling, but in different accents, ironically, and going, "Hello, we interested in buying Harry Winks, 200 million." Bang. This squad's getting more and more valuable by the day.
But you believe he's the real deal?
He's the second coming.
Of
Pochettino.
Nice.
Yeah, he's a fantastic man. I think I really enjoy the fact that also he seems. There are very few managers with what looked like a sort of a work ethic and an honour in football now, and Pochettino embodies that. I think in a really sort of very honest way. I think he's he seems like quite an honourable man.
Comes across that way, yeah.
Yeah, Rafa Benitez for me comes across in that way. And so does, which I think is where he's tripped up over the last few years. I think
Klopp does as well.
Yes, but Klopp seems a lot more malleable than a Pochettino or a Benitez. I think Klopp's more willing to play the game, whereas I feel like Benitez and Pochettino are much more.
They have their way.
Myopic in a way, yeah. Although Klopp obviously can seem myopic.
Over the past
Spurs.
Over the past couple wins. Well, I haven't finished yet. Over the past couple of weeks, there's been some minor rumblings amongst Spurs support about Poch perhaps isn't the best. So this is what I'm curious.
Isn't the best against the top six?
No, isn't the best manager for Tottenham.
Harry Redknapp.
Some of these people would probably prefer Harry Redknapp. Yes.
Right.
Or Tim Sherwood.
Sure.
You can see.
Yeah. Not really though.
I don't know. There's been a Poch out account created on Twitter. It could be.
How many followers? 8,
3
9?
currently.
Yeah.
But it's there, and even if just one person, because there has been some people are getting a little bit fed up that he hasn't won anything with.
Hey, now they pave paradise and put up a parking lot.
Yes.
Yeah. Don't it always seem to go when you don't know what you've got till it's gone?
Yeah. The grass isn't always greener. Any other?
Don't
look a gift horse in the mouth.
Money don't make my world go round. I'm reaching out to a higher ground.
Yes. I mean, that's apt because
Desiree.
We don't spend. No, I know.
You don't spend a lot of money.
We don't spend a lot of money. So
to a warm and peaceful place, I can rest my weary face. White Hart Lane.
And it's gone.
Well, it'll be back soon. A warm and peaceful place.
Yeah. This is good.
This is excellent podcasting.
What else you got?
I've got loads of lyrics.
All right.
Find me in the club. Bottle full of bud.
Yeah, good. That's
Danny Rose.
No, Harry Winks.
Harry Winks.
Right,
yeah, that was brilliant, wasn't it? And then which little grass decided to tweet at the Sun? Did he tweet the Sun?
Is he the Sun?
Screw him.
I mean, it was bad. And do you know what? When I
Sorry, mate, can I get a picture? Yeah. I'm tweeting that at the Sun. Yeah. See you later.
It was. I looked at it. I saw this tweet. So if anyone doesn't know, there's this kid who was in the club. And Harry Winks was in there.
Probably had a bottle full of bud.
Yeah, probably. And he had they did a selfie together. And then this kid went on to say Harry Winks is injured and he's in the club with me. And then he atted the Sun to try and get them to write a story.
He's allowed to go into a place. I mean, what's wrong with that?
He can go and have a drink. It's not a problem.
Even if he's not having a drink, I mean, it's still fine.
He didn't even look like he had.
What, you were controlling girlfriend? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you doing in the club?
But this kid knew what he was doing, and that's the thing with social media and football now. Is that there's no, for a small price of fame, you would throw just not even forget the rivalry here. This is just a young kid having a night out.
Yeah.
Who's playing well for his football club and his country in a small way.
Yeah.
So, you know...
In a very small way.
Small way. I mean, he hasn't done a great deal yet, but you never know.
I'm disappointed that in photos he doesn't wink.
Yeah. I interviewed him
He's got
and
a real
did the worst question, is why don't you have 40 on the back of your shirt? And as soon as he fell out... But it's not... He's been asked that a million times.
Well, of course he has. His name's Winks.
But the worst thing you can do as an interviewer is, if you want to get a decent question, is to ask them something they've been asked so many times
The worst thing you can do as an interviewer is go, question 1.
What is your name?
Yeah.
I
love Nixon.
You're going for a FanLeague bet, FanLeague punt for Spurs
to beat Watford narrowly. Harry Kane.
So
because this one's Spurs away.
FanLeague, a FanLeague, you can hedge your bet. So in this instance, I would be hedging here.
Watford around the top 4 though. Watford are sort of pushing for that top 4, aren't they?
Well, when you started the season, I wouldn't have said it, but yeah, they're in amongst it. They're a very, very good footballing outfit. So yeah, why not?
They're pushing for the top 6. And
historically, not great about
against the top 6.
I mean, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
I don't think anyone would want to go to Watford currently.
Most of us just sort of go through it and go, oh, thank God. I've been to Watford once, it was lovely.
Brighton and Liverpool.
Yeah.
Brighton have had a good start to the season.
Lovely.
They're doing far beyond what anyone expected them to do. Is the gap between the Championship and the Premier League closing somewhat?
I think people always think it's closer. It depends on which teams are down in the Championship, who's running them at what time. There's always going to be some teams who are pushing to get up into the Premier League.
Yeah.
Some people have called it the Premiership recently, which I find really unusual.
That's coming
the
back.
F2 the other day called it the Premiership.
The Premiership is what it used to be called many years ago, and then they just rebranded to the Premier League. It's not that.
Yeah. But apparently if you say it really annoys the Premier League.
I'm sure it does, because they're just talking about something that's completely different.
Yeah, because they're worried you'll go off and Google the Premier League or the Premiership and then go, oh, I can't find it.
I guess my point here was that Brighton have come up doing well. It's the most points accrued by... Accrued. That's
the one. Accrued. Yeah.
And most points accrued by the teams that got promoted in the last 12 years in the Premier League.
Yeah, they are doing well, aren't they?
Yeah, so you got Newcastle, Brighton and Huddersfield.
Yeah, and pretty good teams.
Huddersfield and Brighton, you wouldn't expect them to be able to compete. You think both of them are going back down. But Bournemouth before that. Bournemouth are a tiny football club and they've competed in the Premier League and they continue to do so.
Do you think mainly people judge them by the size of their ground?
I think so, sometimes.
Whereas that's a little bit silly, isn't it?
Well, not really, because clubs are building huge stadiums in order to get that revenue in.
Including Brighton, who of course have a great Amex Stadium.
It's great.
Is it still called Amex?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Amex, yeah.
So imagine if they didn't take Amex at that stadium.
Be ironic.
Yeah. Another great 80s reference. Isn't it ironic?
80s.
It's like rain.
Well, 90s.
Yeah. On your wedding day.
Obviously, Liverpool have... When you're already there, it's the good advice. I mean, the irony is...
And take...
You would afford... It matters. Life is a funny
layer cake. Yeah.
Do you think that she realised that none of what she says in that song is ironic?
It's not ironic. We get it. We've seen the bit.
And no, but that was the irony.
Brilliant. So it's the ultimately ironic song.
So she kind of...
She finished and just... Thinks, thank you. Idiots.
Yeah, I like to think. Yeah. What's the feeling about Jurgen Klopp? I know you love him, but there's an opportunity to throw some stones at him. Because of the capitulation.
You shouldn't throw stones if you live in a glass house, and if you've got a glass jaw, you should watch your mouth because that'll break your face.
Nice.
That's 50 Cent.
Yeah.
I think Jurgen Klopp is a good manager in that he can motivate players. I think at the moment he's not quite found a midfield structure which can fit and transition well between attack and defence.
Right.
And that's a huge problem for Liverpool. Naby Keita we were hoping that Liverpool would get Naby Keita in the summer. It would have solved a lot of problems. That Coutinho's on the way out, Emre Can's also on the way out. Two players that carry the ball forward very successfully for Liverpool, and also you don't want to call him a box-to-box midfielder who's a playmaker, and that they're two playmakers who I think are currently at the club and probably should have been allowed to leave or make their plans and then leave. and Naby Keita was coming in to usher in a new midfield era.
So my very limited understanding of German football, don't watch it at all really. Naby Keita will provide what role for Liverpool?
I think attacking wise, he's going to fill some of the holes that Coutinho will leave.
Really?
Yeah.
So I assume that he was a defensive midfielder.
No, I think a lot of people just assume that because they see an African player
think he's like Kante.
and think he's either like Kante or Makelele, or they see someone who looks quite diminutive.
Yeah.
But he's actually quite strong on the ball, carries it forward very well, seems to have a good passing. Or what I would say is a passing idea that fits in for Liverpool, for the Firminos, for the Sanes, for the Salahs, who will play off him quite well, and doesn't seem to be able to want anyone who's able to transition between the midfield. There seems to be a bit of a disconnect between Liverpool's Jordan Henderson type players and a Coutinho, whereas if Keita came in, at least I get the feeling that there would be a bit more of a transitional play in what's going on, and that would definitely help Liverpool.
Okay.
Interceptions wise, I think it'll be interesting as well. He'll let Mane and Salah and Firmino press, and he'll help with that press.
Do you think it's coming then for Liverpool? Do you think that this is going to work out? That there is a grand plan for Klopp, and it's going to work out?
Oh, there's definitely a grand plan, yeah. Because obviously, I think they will get more players in the future, and it will also. I think it's the frightening side is at the moment Liverpool will lose Coutinho to either PSG or Barcelona or someone.
Yeah.
They'll lose Chan to a Juventus or a Bayern Munich or maybe even Man City.
Is that good? Is he?
No, he's definitely, I think, under
Chan.
fantastic coaching, and coaching that actually wants to build a team around him or put him as one of the central players, I think he'll be a really good player. Chris Pajak said when he first signed for Liverpool, it was partly his attitude that was going to be a problem at Liverpool. I think to some extent that's been a problem because Liverpool as an institution doesn't currently have that Juventus or the Barcelona level of institutional feeling. And they need the players' buy-in to some extent, whereas maybe at Juventus it doesn't require the same kind of buy-in. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
So we'll see. I'll be sad to see both those players go because they were real hallmarks of an era where Liverpool were becoming a very exciting team, and it feels like you're letting some of those exciting players go, especially with keeping Jordan Henderson and Gini Wijnaldum and players who feel less exciting. But at the same time, if you bring in a Keita and maybe another attacking player, maybe another young German player who can play a Royce-ish type role, you'd be quite excited by that.
Yeah, absolutely. So your family pick for this game?
I think Liverpool will win 2-1.
Nice.
2-1.
Yeah, I also think Liverpool will also win. We had a this comes up quite a lot because I don't like Liverpool that much.
Why?
Exactly.
Right. Is it because of Ball Street North?
No, I love those guys. Yes. No, it isn't. It's Chicken Caesar Salad. See that? It's good. See, it works because I literally
Misspelled salad.
Oh. Do you think you realised? Oh,
Chicken Caesar's not one word either, is it? Yeah.
I mean, it's YouTube.
It's a Caesar salad. Can I have chicken on that?
Yeah. I mean, it's YouTube, so it doesn't really matter.
Caesar salad.
Okay, can I? Cheers. I'd love to know the specific reasons and triggers that provided the foundation for Flav's self-proclaimed hatred of Liverpool. The sort of stuff fascinates me as a football fan.
Get over it, mate.
Yeah, don't worry about it. But it's hatred and rivalry and irritation comes from a lot of things. I can't...
The accent.
No, I wouldn't say it's anything to do with the people of Liverpool.
I'm talking about Salah's accent.
Right.
It's really bloody annoying, isn't it?
I don't know.
I don't know.
And
what do Egyptians sound like?
I'm not going to do that. No.
I don't know.
I think...
You're saying you could, if you wanted?
What, do an Egyptian accent? No. Could you? No, let's just leave
I've seen Mido talk. He's really annoying.
He is an Egyptian.
He's really annoying.
I really loved him when he was at Spurs. Mido.
Yeah. Piled on the pounds after he left.
Yeah, that happens to us all.
When did you leave Spurs?
Yeah, I haven't left. I'm always
That's
there.
mean,
Can I ask a question? I think some of these things.
I left Spurs years ago.
Some of these the hatreds come from.
I'm angry with him as a Liverpool fan, by the way. Sorry, because he said he'd go to Real Madrid. He said Salah would go to Real Madrid. That's the only reason I'm having a go at Mido.
Oh really?
Yeah, I'm not body shaming.
Where do you think
Don't ask, answer.
Well, the rivalry I think is about on the pitch. So there's a period of over the last, I would say, 7
We don't care about you guys.
7-8 years.
We genuinely don't care.
I wouldn't say that was true.
Really?
Yeah, I know. I'll tell you what it is. Mainly, it isn't to do with Liverpool as a football club. It's to do with a couple of people I know, both Liverpool fans, and they're lovely.
Pajak, poor matron.
Not them.
Right.
They're lovely people. But when talking about football, they're the most horrendous human beings that have ever lived. So much so that I don't actually speak to one of them, and it's not Chris or.
Okay, I was going to say this is a really passive aggressive way of telling me this, but fair enough.
Yeah, I don't talk to him anymore because do you know? I'll tell you what it was.
Right.
I'll tell you what it was. Right. Now we're getting to the point.
Fingers out.
Is when England conceded that goal to Suarez.
They celebrated.
He messaged us saying, "Go on." He's English. Go on. Like, oh, yeah, well done, Suarez, and celebrated. And I was like, mate, that's it. That's it. I'm hurting. I'm hurting.
Blocked.
And you're gloating to me because Suarez used to play for Liverpool, or maybe did. I think he left that year.
At that time, didn't he?
But he left. He left for Barcelona that summer.
Yeah.
So I found that unacceptable.
Like rain on your wedding day.
Yeah.
No. Is that unacceptable?
Yes, it is unacceptable.
Did you block him?
I haven't spoken to him since.
You might as well have blocked him.
4 years.
Do you ever just think, wow?
It wasn't Twitter. It was
Okay.
on WhatsApp.
Well, you can block people on WhatsApp. I'll show you.
I didn't.
It's very easy.
I just chucked him out of the group.
Brilliant. Wow, out the group. He was in a group.
He was in a group.
And you were the admin?
No, I wasn't the admin, but we made it. Everybody agreed he's got to go.
You can't record in the same room as Wendy Miller anymore.
What do you mean? Why not?
Oh, it's not him.
No.
No, great.
He's the sports players. Okay, that's it for the one for
What
the
about
weekend.
these?
So, well, I forgot my laptop upstairs, so I haven't got this audio. So
What's the music? Should we find it and just play it?
It's got on the audio network.
Oh, well,
I'll just put any sad music from YouTube. Yeah, that would do fine. Just find out what it is, but don't do it now because I'm doing another plug for the app.
What is that song called?
I can't remember. That's good. Yes, so you can download the FanLeague app and play with us in the one for the weekend league. The app, the link is in the app below. Sorry, the link is in the description below. Click on it, download.
The link's in the app. Find the app.
You can find the app by searching for FanLeague, all one word, in the iTunes store. Come and get involved. Add James Alcott and me, Flav, as your friend on it, and we can add you to the league, get involved in the banter, and you'll become part of my tree, and you can make money for me, which is good.
You probably say for, you say with.
Oh, you make your own money, but I get a bit of it for me in my skyrocket. Whatever it is, let's do it. Well, Soldiers Lost in Battle, if you're new to it, is when someone doesn't get to go to a football match because of outside forces. That could be a girlfriend or a boyfriend, a mum or dad, or a pet that's poorly. Have you got anything for me?
Yeah, I've got it, wait.
Lovely.
This is it, isn't it?
This is it.
Yeah, wait a minute. Right, here you go.
Oh, is that too loud? That's it, right. Soldiers Lost in Battle. This is from Marching On Together. It's around about this time in 2011 when my beloved Leeds were playing at home against Blackpool, but this wasn't any ordinary game. My dad's mates had tickets for the match in the best box in the ground, so we obviously watched the game in the box instead of our usual match day seats. Although the event soon turned sour as Holloway's Blackpool went into half-time 3-0 up. Our current goalie at the time was Paul Rachuba, who went on to be voted our worst ever goalkeeper and was subsequently subbed off at half-time. We went on to lose 5-0 overall. 5-0 to Holloway's side with Loa and Craig Cathcart, just to name a few. We also made Shelby look like a young Maradona. Since this match, I've had numerous offers to sit in the very box, but I've declined them as I think it's a sign of bad luck. They're a load of poncy bullshit anyway.
Imi Conrad, 1 week ago. I'm guessing that's Jimmy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Soldiers Lost in Battle. I was in Wembley for Spurs Madrid game. I saw Flav and tried to say hi. He ignored me. I no longer have any respect for Flav.
I mean, I wouldn't say I didn't know. I didn't know this had happened.
Flav, Jimmy Conrad, American national team player. Flav.
Craig Wilson says, Soldiers Lost in Battle. I missed every single Premier League match, every single one, because I'm an obstinate American.
Good.
Who never gave it a chance before 2014. Me and almost my entire country are idiots. Always have been. Fucking Yankee wankers. Apparently, according to most fans around the world. Anyway, please send in more Soldiers Lost in Battle. We're running low. We need them. We're going to read them out. It's everyone's favourite bit of the podcast. James will be back to do it properly next week. One thing. How do you
sleep at night?
How do you? It might be tough for an American fan who's been kind of new to the Premier League. Is trying to adopt all of the cultures that we have.
You don't have to adopt the cultures.
Okay, but
stop trying to assimilate.
Right, just support the team how you want to. Yeah. But I feel that some American fans, they want to be recognised by British fans as genuine supporters. And if you talk to lots of them, then they're getting up at God knows, silly hours, depending on where they live in the US.
Dedication.
Watching the game and from, you know, and doing all the things that a lot of fans in England probably wouldn't do, like getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning to watch a pre-season friendly, that kind of thing. It's a weird one. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
I guess, I don't know, because I quite like some American sports, so I quite like the NBA, I quite like some NFL teams.
Do you care if what they think about you, their fans? Or it's just a different culture over there?
I think they're a bit more accepting of it's the globalisation side of everyone's welcome. Do you know what I mean? I've tried to read as much of the history as I can of those clubs, and I think if you want to be a fan of a club, then read the history of it and know what try and work out what you think that club stands for. Spurs have got a great history. Liverpool have got a really good history. There's some great books on Liverpool. Manchester United, Man City have got some really interesting historic moments.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
before the Premier League.
Give me an example.
Sean Goater.
Oh yeah, feed the goat and he will score.
He now runs a taxi firm in Bermuda.
Oh, incredible.
Yeah.
I'm so happy that I know that.
I think he also he lays the roads or something. He's like a big mogul.
Really?
Bermuda's a heaven.
He's become a business
goat.
Business goat. Behemoth.
Stop trying to use big words.
Well, I'm quite good at it usually, but my brain for some reason is not working. And anyway, this has been the One for the Weekend podcast. Thank you very much, Loz McKenna. You've been an absolute gent. Absolute gent.
Thanks a lot for having me.
And I would say, where can you find them? But you're too big.
Don't bother.
Doesn't matter. Download the app.
Yeah.
Link description below.
Download the app and join today.